12670. Offices in Baton Rouge.
WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12682. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Picture this. You're trying to hire someone or buy something, and you click on their website, but it takes forever to load and looks, well, horrible. So what do? You probably move on. If you're concerned that just described your website, you should call us. We're GatorWorks.
Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. It's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in, Hunt and Hill, on a Thursday from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. I am Hunt Palmer. He is Hill, Jeremy Hill. Casey Gaines, and I think Taylor Sharp's still over there. We got him for about 2 hours, and then he's checking out. But he's here for the next 2 hours, as are we. Mr. Hill, how are you on this Thursday?
I'm doing great, and I want to wish my little sister a happy birthday. Amber, Happy birthday. She's turning 28 today, so happy birthday, Amber.
Happy birthday, Amber. That's excellent. So it's a good busy Thursday here for us on Hunt and Hill. Scott Rabalais with us at 12:30 talking LSU. Luke Johnson at 1:30 talking some Saints. We got a lot to get to in between all that. We're going to play some over-under with LSU football in the next segment. So busy Thursday. Appreciate you locking us in however you are doing it, whether it's YouTube, whether it's on the app, or just on the regular old radio. It all works just the same. If you're in the internet circles, I've talked about this a few times, I never know just how much of the audience swims in the same internet circles as I do. I'm on Twitter almost all day, every day. I'm inundated with content from all sorts of places, and some things feel old to some people and they're new information to some people, depending on how much you're checking in on the internet day to day. But Matt didn't lead his show, but he talked about this on his show yesterday. Look, Jake Crane and company, they've launched a new media company. They're doing some awesome work. And they had a Notre Dame guy on there. He was cloaked in Notre Dame gear. He covers Notre Dame. He's a huge fan. He's not unlike me, who's a huge fan who sits here and covers LSU. But essentially, they asked him if Brian Kelly was going to win a national championship at LSU. He said absolutely not. He's not a fit there. They didn't win big games, whatever. And I stopped when he said he's not a fit there, because it's the approximately 967th time I've heard someone say he's not a fit at LSU.
Oh, man.
And I get angry when there's just a narrative and a take that's just roundly accepted and blurted into the atmosphere that's really not based in much of anything. And this one has run its course for me. I'm just tired of hearing about Brian Kelly and whether or not he's a fit. This has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that I'm an LSU fan. And I'm not sitting here telling you that I think Brian Kelly's a slam dunk to win the West in 2 years and win the national championship in the next 4. Like, that's not the point of this discussion. The point is, this term fit is so lazy, it's so boring, and it really doesn't matter at all. The only fit anywhere is winning. Mm-hmm. If you recruit really well, if you're a really good coach, if you surround yourself with good people and have good relations with the community, you're going to win. And you might scream and yell and say, well, that's what a fit is. Well, I think when people say fit, it's just basically where you're from. And this guy on this tangent he was going on said Notre Dame and Cincinnati's as far south as he's ever been. So I said, okay, I'm just going to start looking up random coaches throughout time and see how good a quote-unquote fit they were going to be at their spot. Here, the names that you've heard, Skip, was he a good fit here? Spent his entire life in South Florida, a Jewish guy from Miami. He comes into the heart of Catholic country in Louisiana, a place he's never been, and flipped the sport upside down and won 5 national championships. Mm-hmm. Dale Brown is from Wyoming or North Dakota or wherever, somewhere way up there. Matt was talking about it yesterday. He came down here and won more basketball games than anybody has. Nick Saban had never been down here in the South. He came down here and transformed a football program that has lasted for 25 years. Those are the talks right around here. Ed Ogeron, yes, 2019 was awesome, but there is no better fit, quote unquote, than Ed Ogeron down here. And I think it's a positive that he got the job because he's going to be able to relate so well to the high school coaches around here. That is a positive trait that he has. But the wheels fell off. Not great. Johnny Jones is from here, played here, coached here, came here. The wheels fell off. They had the worst season in the history of the program. That's just LSU. Mm-hmm. But if we just start tossing this all over the place to everywhere, okay, Urban Meyer, he managed to fit in Bowling Green, Salt Lake City, Gainesville, and Columbia. What do you mean fit? Well, he just is good at everything, so they won a lot of games. Jimbo Fisher won a national championship at Florida State. He's from West Virginia. They worship him in College Station. Boot-wearing ranch guy. Tallahassee's a beach town.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the fit? Okay. Chip Kelly. He revolutionized offense in college football at Oregon. He's from New Hampshire. Bobby Petrino, not the nicest guy in the world, set records at Louisville. Had the best seasons Arkansas had in 40 years. He's from Montana. Louisville, Kentucky, and Fayetteville, Arkansas. He's from Montana. I mean, I could even go, not even guys that have set, but Mike Leach. I would argue Mike Leach doesn't really fit in anywhere. He's a unique character. He's the same guy in Lubbock as he was in Pullman as he was in Starkville. That's all over the country. That's the worst weather patterns apparently in the world are over in Lubbock because they've got like drought and then floods and tumbleweeds and they get really, really cold and really, really hot. He managed to fit in Lubbock. He went to Pullman, Washington. I wouldn't call that a rabid fan base up there. Made it work, just threw it around. Had some guys that got drafted in the NFL, and he goes to Starkville, and he's basically the same coach. He's going to win 6-7 games, and that's what he's going to be. He fits everywhere. I could keep going. Mark D'Antonio got Michigan State to the playoff, had a great decade-long run in East Lansing, Michigan. He's from El Paso, Texas. He played college football at South Carolina. Jimmy Johnson's from Texas. He went to Arkansas and won a national championship, then went to the end of the earth at Miami in a Cuban culture, and it was a rock star. What are we talking about with fit? You're either a good coach and you fit because you're a good coach, or you're not. This whole thing is blowing my mind.
I think any respected journalist needs to give this take up. It's exhausting at this point. I think we've heard this year after year after year, and I think it kind of stems from the fan bases. Anytime there's a coaching change, anytime there's a coaching search, all the fans, if you're at Michigan, you want that Michigan man. If you're at LSU, you want that guy that talks Cajun and can recruit the state. And so you have a huge contingent of fans that want that. But, if you're a journalist, you can't just go off what the fans want. You got to look at what actually works and what actually works in coaching. And to me, I totally agree. I've been saying that from the top of the mountain on this show every chance I get. And that's that fits really culture fits. Let me put on that quotation marks around that. Culture fits. It's so overrated. And I remember all the hype when Coach Kelly first came out, the accents, all this stuff. It's like all the things that have nothing to do with winning football games. People are trying to poke fun at or trying to, point it out and make it like this some negative things. Look, football is very simple. It comes down to recruiting, comes down to coaching, and it comes down to the staff you put together. And if you can do that year in and year out, you're going to win a bunch of football games. All the other stuff, it really does not matter, but I guess it makes for good talking points.
How's Ryan Day doing at Ohio State? Think he's having a pretty nice run? He's from Manchester, New Hampshire. They don't even play football in New Hampshire. Well, I mean, it's just Mike Krzyzewski. He's a Polish immigrant's son from Chicago who went to Army, and he's a Catholic guy, went to a school founded by the Methodist Church, Duke. Mm-hmm. That work out? How was that fit? I mean, I understand that there's Tom Osborne who went to Nebraska and became a powerhouse as a coach at Nebraska. Phil Fulmer's from Tennessee, and he did a great job at the University of Tennessee. Steve Spurrier won a Heisman Trophy, and he went right back to Florida and did it pretty well. Oh, by the way, Steve Spurrier did pretty well at South Carolina too. Roy Williams went to North Carolina. Yeah, he had a pretty good run there. You can be selective with whatever you want to do, but how about this? I mentioned Johnny Jones and Ed Ogeron having some pretty rough ends to their tenures. Who's a good fit at Alabama? Not the guy from West Virginia who coached at Michigan State in the Browns. Not that guy. How about Mike Shula? He played there. That's a good fit. They stunk. This whole thing that Brian Kelly can't get on a private jet, fly 1,000 miles south, and coach football is so stupid and lazy. I can't. I feel like I don't care about the Notre Dame guy who's clearly salty that his program looked like a stepping stone at this point. That's not necessarily my deal. There are smart people that cover this sport that aren't blinded by homerism. They're like, yeah, I don't know if that's a fit. Come on, man.
Look, we can point to situation after situations. I think I did a lead toss on it one day with all these programs who go and get their guy. Ask Nebraska how it's going with Scott Frost right now. Things aren't going great. I mean, ask Brady Hoke how things went at Michigan. I mean, we can go on and on and on about schools trying to bring their guy, our school culture guy. Look, that's just not an easy plug-and-play fix. There's so many other moving parts. That's not the end-all, be-all. So to make a case that just because a coach isn't a culture fit and he's not from that area, he didn't go to that school, that means that his regime at that particular school is going to be a total non-success. I think it's laughable in so many ways. And so hopefully as we go, we can stop pushing this narrative that culture fits are just so important in these coaching hires, because quite frankly, like, I think the evidence just totally overweighs it. It's kind of laughable, like I just said.
Somehow, some way, Lane Kiffin managed to score a bunch of points on the West Coast. He managed to score a bunch of points in the middle of Florida, and he managed to score a bunch of points in Oxford, Mississippi. There's no fit. He just knows how to call plays. He scored a lot of points in Tuscaloosa too. It really blows my mind. And look, I want to reiterate. I think one of the qualifications that made Ed Ogeron attractive to anyone when talking about LSU is immediately when you become the head coach, he can walk into any high school coach's office in the south portion of the state and immediately relate to them and tell stories about home and do a good job building relationships and recruiting. That's a good thing. I'm not here to tell you that having relationships in a part of the country is not a positive as far as being a coach. I also think you can cultivate them pretty quick. And look at the way Brian Kelly is recruiting nationally, where he's got some, and he's done a really good job with some of the players that were available to him in the state of Louisiana. And by all accounts, he's put together a staff that looks to have a lot of skins on the wall at the very least. Like, I don't know. We've beat the horse for 11 minutes now, and I understand it, but we're a week from totally diving in and breaking down the game and breaking down Florida State's Duquesne, and like we're not quite there yet. And I thought, if I'm going to talk about this, and this popped up in the internet world once again, like, I just started rolling through, and like, it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't.
No, it doesn't matter at all. I think you've listed more than enough scenarios where vice versa, whether you hire your guy and it doesn't work out, or rather you go with a guy that has nothing to do with your school and things go extremely well. So I don't think you can make a case either way that, hey, the culture fit doesn't work, or hey, it just doesn't have anything to do with anything. Like, either you're a great coach or you're not. So I think, the more and more schools, I think schools have already figured this out. I mean, Scott Woodward, look no further than that. Kim Mulkey, you can point to every single hire he's just made. None of these people are Louisiana people. So I think we've seen it firsthand. Like, that has nothing to do with nothing.
You know who is not from Louisiana? Jay Johnson. How's his roster look?
Looks great.
That's enough of that. I just had to get it off my chest. Got Scott Rabalais coming up in 15 minutes. We're going to talk some LSU sports with Rab. But when we come back, I put together some over-unders for LSU football for the season. Want Jeremy's thoughts on those. We'll get them next. It's Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
FanDuel wants you to be ready for college game day when college football kicks off. Right now, new customers can get $150 in free bets guaranteed for week one. Just place a $5 bet and you can get up to $150 in free bets if you win or lose.
Look, if you're betting NFL preseason games, God love you. I'm sure that's entertaining for you. But we got real college football this weekend. You can try a same-game parlay bet. You can bet the one Big Ten game that's actually on the schedule that they're playing over there in Dublin. Between Nebraska and Northwestern. You got Nebraska as a 13.5-point choice over there. The app's easy to use. They're always hooking you up with great odds, and when you win, you get paid fast. So see for yourself why FanDuel's America's #1 sportsbook. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today. Sign up with the promo code 1045ESPN. Place a $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, guaranteed to kick off the college football season. That's 1045 ESPN. You must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issues non-withdrawable free bet that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. You or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help. Call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has $14,000 off MSRP on a new 2021 Ford F-150. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller Lite has more taste and only 96.
On Fridays, OTB, penultimate day till week 0 is finally here. Plus, Jake gets ready. See the Bush League Bolts for the first time in a decade live in the Dome. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Scott Rabalais in 13 minutes, talking some LSU football with Rab from The Advocate. But let's play a little bit of over-under here, Jeremy, as we get towards the season opener for LSU. We'll start the leading rusher on this team, whoever it may be, over under 800 yards in the regular season.
Oh, man, I do not love the idea of John Emery being suspended for the first 2 games. I thought that was the most likely candidate to do that. So, too much RB by committee. I'm going to have to take the under on this one.
Under 800 yards. So do you think that's an indictment on the running game, or just that Emery's going to become the lead back? He's going to miss 2 games. They're going to start spreading some carries around. I mean, why?
Yeah, because, like when we first thought about this, and I was like, man, like, is Emery just like, has he fallen off a cliff? And then you kind of hear, okay, it's academic stuff. It's not the on-field stuff. So, yeah, I think once he comes back, I think he should be that first back that you're trying to, really be that lead dog and give him opportunities. And if he does that, I think he has a chance to get to 800, but I just think it's too much RB by committee. So I'll take the under on that one.
Missing a chance for a cheap hundo in game week 2 against Southern. So
yes.
We'll see about that. Keyshawn Butte, last year had 8 touchdowns in 6 games. I set the over-under for regular season touchdowns in 12 games at 10.
I'll take the over on this. I think for this offense, it's got to have to be Keyshawn, and it's got to have to be his big-time playmaking ability. And like you said, you do get some of those games against Southern. You do get some of those UAB games, and then you got to have some big-time 2-3 touchdown performances. And if he can do that in some of those games, I think it's going to create a world where he can get to that 10 number. I think I would definitely hammer it if I knew Garrett Nussmeier would be the quarterback. But I think even without that, I still trust Keyshawn to have a big-time year and go over 10.
Look, that's a lot. I realize he's awesome. but that's a lot. In single season, LSU has only had 7 guys go over 10 in a single season. Of course, in 19, which was a joke, Jamar and Justin Jefferson. Jamar had 20, Jefferson had 18. Terrace Marshall that year had 13. So if you take out 2019, it's only been done 4 times in school history. Dwayne Bowe in 2006 had 12. Wendell Davis in 86 had 11. Devery Henderson in 03 had 11. Brandon LaFell in 19 had 11. And then you've got a bunch of guys, Carlos Carson, Josh Reed, Michael Clayton, Jarvis Landry, Terrace Marshall, all had 10. But to go over 10 has not been done too many times, just 8 in school history. So the over would be impressive. I disagree a little bit with what you said, even though I prefer that it's Kayshawn because we know what he can do. It didn't have to be Kayshawn because I think there are some guys, especially Neighbors and Besh, that can go do it without him if he's gotten too much attention. So we shall see. There's a couple layers to this one, but I'll go with it here. Jaden Daniels for the season, 12 games, 550 rushing yards over under.
Wait, say it again.
Jaden Daniels for the season, 550 rushing yards.
That's a great number because it's like right between his career high and right, his career low. I'll take the over. I think he's gonna have to use his legs, especially with this offensive line and them not being that proven commodity. I think he's gonna have to use it in the quarterback run game and in certain drop back situations. So. Yeah, I'll take the over for him. I think his speed is going to shock a lot of people this year, and it's going to get him on the edge a lot more often than you think. So, yeah, I'll take the over.
46 a game, if he plays every game, that would be the number, and I think he would go over that. This is a guy who we've talked about this a lot, and we'll continue to do it next week as we preview the game, but talking about a guy who has led the country the last 2 years in tuck it percentage, meaning pass play, tuck it down, and go run, and he's been – has done that more than anybody in the country, and his speed is legit. I mean, I don't know how many guys he's going to make miss, but he can run. There's no doubt about that. So he gets the seam. He can turn it into 60 pretty quick. So I'll go with the over on that as well. Mason Taylor, Cole Taylor combined catches 27. Just over 2 a game.
Combined, I'm gonna take the under on this. I don't see them being a big factor in the passing game, especially when you have the receivers. They do. I can see them getting some stuff in the flats, some little drop down passes, but them constantly attacking the tight ends up the seams and on 7 routes and corner routes. I just don't think that's very, very likely. I think those guys will be mixing it up in the run game a lot and chipping in the pass game, helping them out that way. So. I'm going to take the under on the tight ends. I just don't think they're going to get that many targets this season.
Just about threw up on the desk here.
Oh,
looking
God,
up.
Bo Nix
is running all over the place, throwing touchdowns against our defense. There's like 30 guys chasing him. Like 20 of them. Ojulari, Bug Strong,
Major Burns.
There's a million guys and nobody can tackle him. Those are touchdown passes. All right, on back to over-under. Missed field goals for LSU this year, 5.5.
Oh, man, I thought young Nathan would be running the show. We got my boy Ramos in there. I'll take the over. I think that's very likely. Anytime I'm not sure about something, I'm going to, go on the side of caution. And that's you got a first-year starter with a first-year head coach, and you're playing in a lot of big-time games. You're likely going to be in a lot of tight football games this season. I don't know, man. I'm not looking at K. York walking out of that locker room, so I'm going to take the over on this one.
I think that's probably the play, unfortunately. Mason Smith sacks, same number, 5.5. On the interior.
I'll take the over on that. I think, what did he have, 4 or 5 last year?
I believe he only had 2 last year.
Yeah, 2? I could have sworn he had more than that.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, look that up for him because I'm pretty sure he had 3 or 4 at least. But just off the top of my head, I'm going to take the over on Mason. I think it's going to be so hard to double team him all season. With all the defensive linemen you have and just how many waves they can hit you in. And I think he's poised to have a big-time year. So,
4.
Yeah. So if he had 4 as a freshman and he was playing out of position last year, I think he can definitely add 2 more sacks to that. And he missed some games last year. Yeah. So I'll take the over for Mason Smith on that.
I would too. I don't want to set it too high. He's a tackle, and it's not a position that gets it. But I think he's going to be a premier pass rusher out of that spot. So I think he's got a chance to get there as well. B.J. Ojulari is going to have a little bit higher number there coming off the edge. I got him at 9.5 sacks. Where you like there? That's a lot.
Look, if he has 9.5 sacks, he's going to be off the board in 15 picks. I just know.
He had 7 last year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But if he follows that up with double digits, he's gonna definitely be a high pick. So Man, I don't want to. I know he's 18, but I'm going to take the under. I just think it's too many sacks. That's a lot of sacks. If he does, look, this team you can almost pencil in 9 games if he's coming off the edge like that. So I would love for that to happen, but I'm just going to take the under. That's a lot of sacks.
Look, I don't pretend to know how to slide pass protections and set protections, make sure, but you're going to be hard pressed to handle this front four for 4 quarters. Look, everybody's going to say negative Nancy, overly negative, 7-5, this and that. And look, that's what I predicted. I don't sell the wide receiver core or the defensive line short for a second. This is going to be a difficult group to deal with. You can't just slide everybody to one guy. Then you're going to leave 2 guys one-on-one against Mason Smith and Ali Gay. If you're going to get, it's a lot to deal with. So I'm very bullish on this LSU defensive front. Hopefully, BJ can get to double-digit sacks. Last one here. LSU plays road SEC games at Auburn, at Florida, at Arkansas, and at Texas A&M. SEC road wins 1.5.
Ooh, they got to get 2. That's tough, man. Look, I hate A&M, so for that reason alone, I'm going to take the over on this. You just can't end the season losing to those guys. So, I think, I like that Auburn game. I think that's probably the most favorable game. I know it's always tough playing there. That crowd's going to be insane, but I think matchup-wise, I think they match up extremely well with Auburn. And so I think they win that one. You can't finish the year losing the Jumbo and the crew. So, yeah, I got them over.
How much credit do I get for instilling the A&M hatred in you? Is that? That's not something I think you had as of a year ago.
Look, I've always looked at them as little brother, but it's just this overwhelming delusionalness of all their fans. It just overwhelms. I feel like Stephen A. with Cowboy fans. It's like, dude, calm down. You guys haven't done a thing. Relax a little bit.
Stephen A's at Cowboys camp today. You want me to send you to College Station for the day? I'll get you some cowboy boots. Get you a big old belt buckle.
Look, we got to get to a good folks at Guarantee. I would love to be in College Station that week for the game. We got to make that. That'll be some fun times.
What else do I need to get you for a tech? I can get you up on a horse.
Oh, God. Look, don't get me started on that. That's another reason why I hate it. You go out there to warm up for the game. Horse manure just
everywhere. I was down there that day.
It's putrid. What are we doing? No, we don't need horse manure in college football mixing it.
I was down there at 11 a.m. for a kickoff in College Station in 2012. You were on the field ripping off 50-yard touchdown runs. I was in the press box laughing. It was great. Actually, for your last touchdown run, I was down on the field for that. I remember I looked up at Shea Dixon, who was in the stands for that, and I was like, lights out.
Yep. Look, we had to shut down the Manziel Mania, man. Those are good times. Always fun to check Texas after you whoop Texas A&M. So I wish I would have known about that in college.
My memory from that game was it was 11 a.m. and it was hot, and all my friends, we were pretty fresh out of college, and a lot of my friends were living in Houston at the time. A lot of people went to the game, and everybody was staying in Houston, and my friends got a big bus. There were probably 60 of them. This whole college crew got a bus, and a lot of them were sitting up in the upper deck for the game. And they went and they had a bar rented out on Saturday night. So I wrote my story real quick for an 11 o'clock game, got back to Houston, and met all this huge crew at the bar. I've never seen a larger collection of sunburned human beings in my entire life from sitting in the upper deck for an 11 o'clock kickoff in College Station. They looked tough.
Look, it was hot that day. I will give it that.
Eric Reed was in bad shape after that game. He tried to come out and do interviews with us. The defense that day was on the field for 93 plays.
Yeah.
And Eric Reed was not looking so hot.
Look, it was brutal. It was guys cramping up left and right. I remember everyone was in a bad mood because we had to wake up at 4:30 to go play that game. So it was look, you just had a bad group of Tigers showing up, and we handled business. So it was a good trip.
Somebody else was there. Scott Rabalais. He'll join us next on Hunt and Hill.
Hold down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
ITI's got all these programs. Once I started and learned everything about the school, it was worth it.
The challenges that ITI presented me with, it allowed me to build myself up.
All because of ITI, I actually was able to get a job within 3 months before graduation in my field.
Get the hands-on training you need for the job you've always wanted. With so many companies hiring right now, it's the perfect time to come to ITI Technical College. Enroll today for a better life.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Every week in high school football, and we have you covered. Starting at 7:30 when Catholic High takes on Dunham. Then from 10 to midnight, we'll recap the evening with the Lake Urgent Care Lake After Hours Louisiana Prep School Board on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and Citizens Bank and Trust hope to add to your football party budget this year with a $5,000 national grand prize or a $1,000 local cash prize. Register for a chance to win at 1045ESPN.com. Best of luck. Happy tailgating from Citizens Bank and Trust and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. I want to remind you to check out dropbiscuit.com. Browse our growing library. While you're there, you can check out Pops, Fame, You Talking to Me, For the People, Well Stated, or whatever Southern flavored audio biscuit you fancy. That is dropbiscuit.com. Got a lot to get to here over the next hour and a half. Luke Johnson, an hour from right now, talking about the Saints. Fed kind of Sharif every Tuesday and Luke every Thursday talking about the black and gold. And as I'm sitting there watching Hard Knocks, I'm kind of looking, thinking, all right, they're in the home stretch here now. You're about to start making some cuts and get down to time where it's put your roster out there and let's roll. And so you figure, we'll get some news on roster stuff in the next 4 or 5 days, and we'll kind of ask Luke about a little bit of that coming up in hour number 2. But for right now, I want to shift the focus back to LSU football. Scott Rabalais of The Advocate joins us. Scott, how are you?
I'm trying to keep dry. How about you guys?
I was bummed out the other day. I wanted to go in there and watch the scrimmage and count the reps the quarterbacks were getting, see it all, and then we get the notification that, hey, we're still going to go outside. I'm wearing loafers. I'm sloshing around like an idiot, and then trying to hold an umbrella and stay dry, and then they went inside, and we didn't get to see anything.
No, it's the weather's kind of played havoc with those plans a little bit throughout the preseason camp, so they're trying to get in the work wherever they can, but I'm sure it's hampered that a little bit too. But we see what we can see and make judgments and assumptions we can from what we get to see.
I know that you sent out a little request for a lot of those of us in the local media to kind of pull together your preseason column. I don't want you to shed light on the entire thing because we'd like you to go to The Advocate and read it. But expectations by the media at this point, do you think are high or really low? I mean, what's the general consensus?
I think generally they're what they are for a lot of people. I think most people cover the team, cover the program, or like the fans. They expect some improvement over the last 2 seasons, but nothing remarkable. Like, hey, they really could knock off Alabama and be the team to win the West. That sort of thing. I think there's some. You see a couple of 9-3s. You see a couple of 7-5s, 8-4 seems to be the typical response. So that's where I would peg LSU at. Do they go 5-3 in conference with a loss to Florida State? Do they go beat Florida State and go 4-4? I think that's probably the latter is more likely, but some combination of that. I think that's reasonable and maybe bettering the Vegas predictions a little bit, but. Giving LSU a little bit of, and Brian Kelly a little bit of benefit of the doubt that he tends to has a track record for getting the most out of the talent he has, and he has some talent to work with, but it's just a team that has a share of question marks as well.
You took the Alabama game off the table because we know how big that one is. If you could inject Brian Kelly with some truth serum and hey, all right, you get one game where your team's going to play its best football and win, take Alabama off the table, which one do you think you would pick?
That's going to play its best and win. Maybe it's just me, and maybe I'm selling them short, but I'm still not convinced that Texas A&M is going to be all that. They've got they're not any great shakes at quarterback either. Obviously, they've recruited well the last couple of years, but I just think back to last year. They beat Alabama, and you still lose to LSU, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Miss State. In the division. And I think that's it. And Texas A&M has not, they've beaten LSU a couple of times the last few years, but one was in 7 overtime. One was a 27 game in the rain in College Station a couple of years ago. They haven't done what LSU did to them, winning 50-7 or something like that. They've all been otherwise been pretty competitive games like last year's game, and I think it's one of those. I think it's one of those games that LSU is in play for if they have come together as a team by that point. And I think if they played their best, that's the game they could win.
I don't know if you got a chance to read the article Brian Driscoll wrote on Coach Kelly, but he was extremely critical of him, especially during his time at Notre Dame, and he really thinks that he cannot win the big game. I know he just started his regime at LSU, but do you think that stigma is going to continue to follow Coach Kelly, that he can't win the big one?
I can see where you have the basis to write something like that, but I mean, the guy has won a lot. I mean, he's won every place he's been. I mean, going back to Division II, Grand Valley State. Now, Grand Valley State Division II football is not the SEC, obviously, but he won big at Cincinnati. He won at Notre Dame. Like Notre Dame just didn't quite ever have what you need to win the national championship. For whatever reason, it's the academic requirements. It's whatever. And I covered the national championship game in Miami when Alabama beat them. I had my column written by halftime. I mean, you knew that it was over. In the first quarter, And you also knew that Alabama wasn't the only team from the SEC that could have beaten them that year. Georgia, which barely lost the SEC championship game, could have beaten them. LSU could have beaten them. Probably one or two other teams. So I understand that criticism, but I think people are kind of looking for a thing to be critical of the guy about. Look, he hasn't won a national championship yet, and that's something that a handful of active coaches have. He does have all the wins, though, and I've said before, were he to just retire right now, he would be in the College Football Hall of Fame. Not a bad coach by any respect. I think give him all the tools and a chance to prove himself on the stage on an equal footing. We'll see what he can do. But I think until then, I don't think he's quite been there. Just being at Notre Dame.
I wish FanDuel was around before that Notre Dame-Alabama national championship game. That's the only time in my young adult life where I looked around trying to find a way to bet on that football game because there was just no way Notre Dame was going to stay on that football field with Alabama that day. It just was not going to happen. Scott Rabalais is our guest from The Advocate. How do you think this offensive line is going to shake out in terms of personnel? I'd like to have that thing solidified by the time you go to the Superdome.
Yeah, I mean, when Kelly talked to us this week, he sang the praises of Garrett Dellinger, who we saw him getting on at practice the week before about his snapping. He said he's really improved a lot. He really come a long way. Maybe he has. I mean, like I said earlier, we've seen some of them in practice. We haven't seen some other things. And one thing we didn't see the other day was the offense. We were outside watching the defense. I think you got a talented young man in Will Campbell at left tackle. I think it's coming together pretty much. It looks like him, the Tremont Shorts at left guard, Dellinger at center, Miles Frazier at right guard, and Anthony Bradford at right tackle. Obviously, Will Campbell's a talent. Obviously, he's going to have times when he, gets schooled by some other talented SEC pass rushers. Yeah, that's just going to happen. It's going to be a baptism by fire, certainly, playing in the SEC. I still think this is their weakest link overall as a team, and it's not a good weak link to have. As good as solid, and not just solid, but as very good as the defensive line looks, the offensive line looks shaky by comparison. And it probably leads to having the mobility of Daniels to be your quarterback to elude the pass rush that's going to get through at times, and then have the LSU quarterback on the run. So it's something that can grow. It's a position group that can grow and improve over the course of the season, but it's also one that is going to take its lumps at times, and really has to prove itself more than any other position group that LSU has.
Speaking of the quarterbacks, we know a quarterback is going to be named the starter very short in short order here. But whoever that guy is, how long do you think that leash is going to be in that first game? Is it going to be a couple 3-and-outs? Is it going to be an interception? Like how much leeway do you think whatever quarterback that is going to have to start the season?
Boy, that's a great question. You guys on Hunting Hill don't pull any punches.
Hard-hitting stuff here.
No, it's a great question, and like Kelly has he has shown kind of a short leash in the past. They played a couple of quarterbacks last year. I think Ian Book was the third quarterback in the Citrus Bowl against LSU, right, in that game. I think they're going to have to get behind. I think it's just an educated guess, but I would think you're going to try to go with a guy, whoever that is, and I think it'll probably be Daniels. And if they're trailing in the third quarter and you need a spark, maybe then you put in Nussmeier. But unless he just totally screws up and has a couple of turnovers and is just holding on to the ball too long and just inaccurate, it's like, look, we got to do something in the second quarter. I think it doesn't happen until the second half of the game. I mean, LSU can stay in front or equal to Florida State and then get the win, you pull out the win later, maybe you don't see a backup quarterback. But I think it would be more like, the offense is struggling and you're behind and you need some kind of spark because you've tried everything else.
Scott Rabalais is our guest. Scott, I know if I ask like Hester or Moscona this question, they're going to say, give me all the football I can possibly have. How much football are you going to be watching this weekend, week 0? Hawaii versus Vanderbilt, Duquesne, Florida State, Dublin game. How much football will you be watching this weekend?
Well, I definitely want to see Florida State. I mean, just to see them, obviously it's the game Florida State's going to win against Duquesne, who I have to look up what conference they're in and all that stuff. I think they're in the Northeast Conference. They actually played in the Orange Bowl against Mississippi State back in the 1930s. I found that they're 2-0 in bowl games, which is they quit after that. They quit while they were ahead. But I want to watch as much as I can. I don't know if I'm going to get to watch every single game, but the Florida State games on the ACC network Saturday afternoon, and I'll try to be up early and up late watching the games. Vanderbilt, this is brilliant. I got to say, them starting in Hawaii. If you're going to lose, and you probably are, go lose someplace fun. Go to Hawaii, and get a nice trip out of it.
Well, look,
for your fans.
Hester will watch the Alliance of American Football, watch the XFL. Just anything you can put on, he'll watch it. I can't quite get to that level, but I'm going to watch a little bit this weekend.
I'm going to watch. I haven't watched much preseason football. I just, it's just so, there's just nothing that I really want to see other than watching the Saints. But I'll be watching college football. It's real football. It's here. Do you think they should have jamborees this weekekend, and you have preseason in the NFL? The college football is the only level that you don't. Should there be some kind of preseason game, a scrimmage or something?
Yeah, that's what Duquesne is. That's exactly
well, okay, you make a point, but it's the only level of football where you don't have that, and I'm sometimes kind of surprised that we don't. But it's the traditions that college football has evolved with that the other levels have not. So.
Yeah, LSU baseball getting the Raging Cajuns to come here in a couple months to play some.
There you go.
There we see. That's what I'm talking about. Scott, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Take care. Thank you.
Scott Rabalais with the Baton Rouge Advocate. Take a timeout. Come back. Some injury news from the NFL. We'll get to it next. Hunt and Hill.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
It's certainly not too early now. It's not quite too late, but it's not too early to get to your tailgate needs. If you want to tailgate for the Alabama game, you need to do it right now. If you want to get to the Southern game, it's in a couple of weeks. Revelry Sports and Entertainment has got your turnkey tailgating. They set up a village right outside Patrick F. Taylor Hall, 3 blocks from Tiger Stadium. They do all the work. You have all the fun. It's Revelry Tailgating.
Yeah, so I have to tell you guys about Revelry's full-service turnkey tailgating. It starts with their standard package, which comes with 25 to 30 people in capacity, a 10x20 high peak tent, electricity hookups, all-day concierge. They even hook you up with a post-tailgate cleanup.
That just makes me smile thinking about my days running the tailgate where had to kick everybody out, fold the tent up, and put the tables away, and make sure the ice chests were sealed up, put them in, lock the car, then you got to throw away the trash. You don't have to do any of that with Revelry Tailgating. They handle it all. They handle all the setup, handle all the cleanup. You just have the fun. You can do as much as you want. You want to do the cooking? You can do it. If you'd rather them cater it, they can do it. You want them to supply the alcohol? They can do that as well. Go to revelryteam.com. Check out the schedule. Check out all the amenities. They've got your frequently asked questions, so they can answer those for you. Revelry Tailgating, revelryteam.com.
This week on dropbiscuit.com or wherever you listen to podcasts is our new series, Pops, the Louis Armstrong story. Pops is brought to you by New Orleans & Company. Check out neworleans.com and come visit New Orleans.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Vizzy, the first hard seltzer with antioxidant vitamin C. It just hits different. Vizzy.
For a Thursday edition of Early Line, as we make some picks as part of our daily spread presented by Suspense Games, and get ready for the weekend in sports. Tune in 2 to 3 p.m. Early Line, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The list of things I would rather do than listen to Michael Irvin and Stephen A. Smith scream at each other in Cowboys camp is rather lengthy. I'm looking up at the screen. Irvin's out of his seat screaming. Stephen A.'s got a Cowboys jersey on. He's screaming. I think I'll take this one off.
Look, man, I want to have a timer on how quick the beads of sweat are going to come out of Michael Irvin's head. Like, it's so fascinating how quick he can be drenched in sweat like he's in a sauna. Just simply talking about the Cowboys. But I guess when you don't win a playoff game for over two decades, it'll do that.
He put a lot of smiles on a young Hunt Palmer's face, the playmaker making plays in the 90s, part of the triplets. But these days, a lot of yelling, a lot of sweat. Pass on a lot of that. Somebody that won't be sweating but might be doing a lot of yelling is Tyron Smith, Cowboys All-Pro left tackle, who tore his hamstring off the bone at practice. And the reports are that he would not be able to return until December. I saw a Cowboys beat writer that said they would not be surprised if Tyron Smith retired. This is a big loss. He's a heck of a player at that left tackle spot. And the Cowboys presumably would really like to have him out there, and he will not be for at least a sizable portion of the season. They're both up there screaming. What are your thoughts on Tyron Smith?
Look, man, I'm going to have to try to talk about Tyron Smith while watching two guys just yell each other on national television. Like, it's fascinating to watch. But I think for Cowboys, it couldn't be worse news. We saw that offense last year when he wasn't in there. Pass rush takes a huge bump up going against the Cowboys when he's not in. And obviously the run game with Zeke and Tony Pollard is going to take a hit as well. So for the Cowboys, couldn't come at a worse time. Just Tyron dealing with injuries year after year after year. And Saints fans have seen that with Teron Armstead. So it's not a good sign. And I think for the Cowboys, you wouldn't want to go into the season in the worst way.
Look, I think Jerry Jones is a massive hindrance to the Cowboys organization. There's no doubt about that. But I will say this. That offensive line they drafted and put together with Tyron Smith and Frederick and Martin and those guys, that was legit. They were the best offensive line in the league. They had significant issues on the defensive side of the football, and they were juggling quarterbacks. But they put together a hell of an offensive line. And now with Lael gone, and now Tyron Smith out for the year, you've kind of aged out of that era of that dominant offensive line that was the staple of that franchise.
Yeah, it is. And I think for the Cowboys, that was their calling card. That's why, when they were, so bad for so many years, that's what got them back, being competitive. And that's having that dominant offensive line. You saw Zeke, get in the league and take it over by storm because those guys are just moving people all the way. And year by year with age and injuries and retirements, that line is just not quite the same as it was when Zeke first got into the league. And so it's going to make it tough. Dak's job just so much harder. You got receivers hurt. You got a banged up offensive line. Dak's going to have to prove why he's a $40 million quarterback for the Cowboys to kind of accomplish the things that they want to do this year.
And in that division, Colin Johnson, big 6'6" wide receiver from Texas, if you remember from that 2019 game, had a big touchdown and was a big target for him. He has torn his Achilles. He's out for the year, was taking number 1 reps for the Giants. Feel like the Eagles division to you? I mean, that's hard for me to say. Jalen Hurts is my fantasy keeper because he runs a lot, but and he got him cheap last year. But, man, I was going to pick the Cowboys to win that division. I still may do that, but it kind of feels like the Eagles are the team that's got the most balanced roster at this point.
Yeah. To me, the Eagles are a little more put together, top down. Trust their offensive line more, trust their defensive line more, and they just up their playmakers. They just got a track star with speed to burn, and then obviously you add A.J. Brown to Devontae Smith. And you still got Goddard at tight end. And so I think you're looking at that Eagles offense, I think just more consistently. I think they're going to be able to run the ball more. They're top 3 in rushing last year. I think they continue to pick up that, especially with what Hurts is going to bring to the rush game. So I know Taylor Sharps is just not music to his ears. But, yeah, I'm going to have to follow suit with that. I'm thinking the Cowboys can't win that division this year.
We shall see. I'm looking at the ESPN headlines, and Jameis Winston would love to play on Friday, he says. Tom Brady is expected to play in the Bucs preseason finale. So we'll see. We'll talk to Luke Johnson coming up in 30 minutes from right now, talking about the Saints and whether or not he expects to see Jameis play in the game tomorrow, final preseason game, as he's now kind of returned. And they've taken it easy on him, but I think it's at this point, getting 2 series is doable. Just a matter of whether they want to or not. We'll get Luke's thoughts on that coming up at 1:30. That'll do it for hour number 1. We open things up talking about how stupid it is that people keep talking about a fit for Brian Kelly, and I went through about 100 of quote-unquote fits that seemed to work out pretty well. Had some over-under fun with LSU football at 12:15, and Scott Rabalais was with us at 12:30. You can catch it all on demand, 1045ESPN.com, Spotify, Apple Podcast, on YouTube. Those of you on YouTube, throw us a like if you would. Hour number 2, Luke Johnson at 1:30. Some SEC expert picks at 1:15, and we crank things up with Jeremy's lead toss. Come back with us for hour number 2. It's a Thursday edition of Hunt and Hill.
Bayou Ford has $14,000 off MSRP on a new 2021 Ford F-150. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you. Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hour 2, Hunt and Hill here on a Thursday. Luke Johnson with us in 30 minutes talking Saints. Got some SEC expert picks. I know y'all love expert picks. We're going to give you some expert picks from the crew at CBS Sports coming up in the next segment. Of course, we always wrap things up with Take It or Leave It. I got to do some real complaining in Take It or Leave It. Real complaining. Got a bone to pick with some folks up north. But to start off hour number 2, it's time for the lead toss.
The lead toss.
Hands it off to Hill. Hill trying to go to the outside. Turns it upfield, and he breaks it into the clear. He's down to the 10. He's still going. Touchdown! Jeremy Hill.
The lead toss to Jeremy Hill.
Hill to the 20. Hill to the 10. The MVP is in the end zone for LSU. Touchdown, Tigers.
Here's the lead toss to Jeremy Hill.
So I know it's not the most amazing news that you're going to be watching Florida State versus Duquesne this weekend.
The Dukes!
But I think for Tiger fans, I'll give you a little preview on what you should be looking out for when you first check out this Florida State team. And, of course, we'll be diving a lot deeper into this next week. But I thought, I'd give you guys a little head start on getting a look at the Florida State Seminoles, because I'm pretty sure not many people were turning on their TV sets last year to tune in to the Seminoles. So I think if you're going to be talking about Florida State this season, you always have to start with their quarterback, and that's Jordan Travis. To me, in a lot of ways, reminds me exactly of Jaden Daniels in so many ways. And, looking at him to start his career, especially, in 2020, not the greatest year. Reminds me so much of how Jaden Daniels played last season. 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, just not the quarterback, that you would want to have. And then to me last year, he made a huge leap. And that was especially in the passing game because, he threw for 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He had 1,500 yards passing. And obviously, he made his impact in the rushing game as well. And, he had a lot of big-time runs in the passing game. So I think for, going into this game and watching them against Duquesne, Jordan Travis is going to use his legs. He's going to want to pass it out. They're going to spread, that offense around. It's going to look a lot kind of like we've seen when you watch Ole Miss play and some of these other teams. They're going to be spread out a bunch. And so it's going to be on Jordan Travis. He's going to have to start out this season really, really hot. He's going to have to use his legs, and he's got to use his arms. And if Florida State's going to have the season they're going to have, he's going to have a big-time season.
He's fine. I mean, we'll get into it deep next week, obviously, and we'll have some of this year's game to go off of. But he's a above average athlete, average size at about 6'1". He runs okay. He's got a reasonable arm. They win a lot when he plays quarterback. They have not won a lot over the last 5 years, and with him under center, they have won games. So that's what you hang your hat on when you're talking about Jordan Travis. Does he terrify you as an LSU fan? He does not. Brian Kelly got a good up-close and personal look at him last year in the season opener when Notre Dame beat Florida State. He's, as politely as I can say it, he's fine.
Yeah, that's exactly what he is. And I think for them,
he's Bo Wallace. He's fine.
Yeah, exactly. He reminds me a lot of Jane Daniels in a lot of ways. But I think for them, he's going to have to play well, and I think he's going to have to get the ball to their new transfer, and that's Micah Pittman, as a receiver who just transferred over from Oregon. And watching Oregon play, he was a big-time playmaker for them. He kind of reminds me a lot of Wan'Dale Robertson, the receiver from Kentucky last year. Super short kid, but a lot more speed than you give him credit for, and a lot of make-you-miss ability. So that's probably his best weapon on the outside, and to me, it did some little research on what the Florida State people are saying at Tomahawk Nation, and they don't feel great about this offense. When asked if they could possibly have an 1,000-yard rusher and 1,000-yard receivers, unanimously, none of them thought so. They lost their lead back from last year. So to me, this offense is going to run heavily on if Jordan Travis can, pick up his play from last year, and they're going to have to really have, Micah Pittman have a big-time year. And to me, not many 5'8", 5'9" receivers are going to strike a ton of fear in me, but if so, it's going to have to be Micah Pittman doing that.
Yeah, I mean, he's listed at 5'11". He's a smaller guy. Those kind of guys concern me a little bit week one because you haven't practiced as much tackling, and they're the shifty guys. I mean, you get a big 225-pound tailgate coming through the A-gap, I feel like that the linebacking core can get that guy on the ground more often than not. You get a guy you're not used to tackling, there's a real shifty guy out in space. It can make you look bad. And Pittman is a playmaker for him. We'll see. He was, a functional player at Oregon, I would say.
Yep, and then to me, when I look at their defensive side of the ball, to me, that was their strong suit last year, but they lost their big-time pass rusher in Jermaine Johnson. He had 12.5 sacks. I know we're talking about B.J. Ojulari possibly getting over 10 sacks. You lose that type of pass rush from the outside, you're going to miss it. And so I think up the middle is probably where they're a lot stronger, and that's watching Robert Cooper, their inside defensive tackle. He kind of reminds me of Jaquelin a little bit. He's a shorter guy, not one of those 6'4", 6'5", D tackles you're going to watch play. But Robert Cooper is really handsy on the inside. He uses his hands extremely well. He pushes a pile up the middle. So if we got some guards in there, whether it's Shorts, whether it's Dellinger, whether it's Dellinger, I should say, rather it's Dellinger, they're going to have to hold this guy down, because if he's wreaking havoc up the middle, that ruins everything that you can do as an offense. And I think also they have a big-time playmaker in the secondary in Jamie Robinson. Watching his tape, great ball skills, hits hard, plays in the box extremely well. To me, he's probably their best playmaker on defense. So when I'm watching this Duquesne game, I'm going to be checking out to see if those two guys can kind of be the guys that are as advertised. They had big-time seasons last year. I think their defense is going to pick up where they left off. I think those two are their kind of biggest two playmakers on the defensive side.
I would be terrified if they had Jermaine Johnson, because it's easier to help on the inside than it is on the outside. And the outside for LSU is going to have a true freshman on one side, and then whatever they figure out on the right tackle, whether it's Bradford or Wire or whoever it may be. But you're still trying to figure that out. And to have, Johnson and have to deal with him with tackles in that spot that haven't played tackle at the college level. And Bradford may have taken a couple snaps here or there, but not very much. And Wire is switching sides. Like, that would terrify me. They don't have a guy right now that's already solidified as that type of, top 40 pick that's a hellion on the edge. They don't. That's not apparent at this point if they do have him. So it makes me feel a little bit better. If LSU's got to deal with some stuff in the interior, you can find a way to do that a little bit easier than, hey, we got to slide everything to fix for one guy out and compromise the entire offense.
Yeah, and I think to me, looking at where they could possibly match up with us well is in the interior. And like you said, you do have a lot more ways as an offense to kind of massage that and not let those guys wreak havoc on you. So I'm going to be super excited to kind of see, where their defensive line is. And I know, like the Florida State guy said, they did lose to an FCS team. So, they got to come out ready to play and not mess around out there, because this is a team that did not make a bowl game last year, just like LSU. And so they need to start off the season very well. And I think that starts with their head coach, Mike Norvell. I think anytime you hire an offensive coach, you're going to want that offense to be firing off on all cylinders, and that's just not how he started his tenure at Florida State. And so, looking at him when he was at Memphis, I think he's one of those coaches who definitely believe in being balanced. And, looking at his time there, he's had an 1,000-yard rusher and receiver in the same season every single season except for 2016. So I just know that's kind of what they're going to want to do, going to the season. They're going to want to be balanced. I just think that's going to be very, very difficult to do, looking at this roster, not really having that, we talk about our running back room, not having Leonard Fournette or all these guys. Their running back room is fairly similar in that way too. They don't have that, All-American, All-ACC running back in their room, and they don't have the receiver either. So I think it's going to be up to him to really, get this offense going at a higher level than it really has over his time at Florida State. I just don't think it's going to be as easy as it may seem just looking at this roster. I think they didn't refill their running back room at a high enough level, and I don't really feel threatened by the receivers on the outside. So I'm going to be excited to see how Norvell kind of massages that in Texas LSU defense.
I'm trying very hard to hear these echoes in my brain from Mississippi State 2 years ago and UCLA last year, where we went into those two games saying, look, I mean, first of all, you're coming off a national championship. You don't think there's any way in the world Mississippi State's coming into Tiger Stadium and beating you.
Mm-hmm.
That was just – and I was on the pregame show then. I was coming on here in the mornings then. And I was like, look, this leash system's going to come in here. LSU's going to shut it down. It'll be a piece of cake. And you get a bunch of records. And then last year, well, UCLA didn't have the talent. Chip Kelly hadn't won anything in UCLA. He's on the hot seat. LSU's got it figured out now. They've got a new culture. Last year was a fluke, and then all of a sudden you just got your butt kicked. I mean, I would argue that the UCLA loss was even worse than the Mississippi State loss because they just out-physicaled you and just beat you up. And Mississippi State just had you were in a ridiculous defense, and their quarterback got hot, and they just got away from you. But, yeah, it feels the same. It feels like you're like, well, LSU's better than Florida State. They ought to just go out there and win. And I'm thinking, well, I did this 2 times the last 2 years, and it didn't go so hot. So I'm trying to reject that thought process that got me where I was the last 2 years.
Look, I mean, we had the almighty Bo Pelini calling the shots on defense, and then we had the immortal Deontay Jones calling shots, who just had a ton of experience calling plays in the college level. So I think you can kind of have a little more different look in perspective on going into it this year because, hindsight's 20/20, and looking at the way it was being ran back then, you could point out a lot of reasons why that defense is probably getting a lot of points scored on it.
We'll break it all down next week. LSU and Florida State will have a little tape on the Seminoles once we get to next Monday. Luke Johnson going to join us here in 20 minutes when we return. SEC expert picks from CBS. We'll tell you what they think about the Tigers. It's Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
FanDuel wants you to be ready for game day when college football kicks off this week. Right now, new customers can get $150 in free bets guaranteed for week 1. Just place a $5 bet, and you can get up to $150 in free bets if you win or lose.
Nothing local for us here this weekend, but you can jump into the FanDuel Sportsbook, check the NCAA football tab. You can try a same-game parlay. You can get live bets as the games are going on. The odds change constantly. You can check that out as well. Or you can bet with big promotions like the Odd Boost that they have each and every weekend. You've been thinking about joining FanDuel. Now's the perfect time to give it a shot. The app is easy to use. They're hooking you up with great deals and great odds. And when you win, the best part, you get paid really fast. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Download the FanDuel app. Get to sign up with the promo code 1045ESPN. Place a $5 bet to get $150 in free bets guaranteed to kick off the college football season. That's promo code 1045ESPN. You must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issues is non-withdrawable free bet that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hunt and Hill, The Early Line. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
There's nothing better than tailgating, but it can be a lot of work. So why do it yourself when you don't have to? Let Revelry Sports and Entertainment set up your luxury tailgate on campus. Order what you want and just show up to party. Book your tailgate today at revelryteam.com. Revelry Sports, the official tailgate partner of LSU Athletics.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Larry Holder stops by, and Brian Polian updates LSU special teams progress. Join us 3 to 6. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Luke Johnson talking Saints in 15 minutes. I was looking at a piece on CBSSports.com. SEC predictions for this year, and they have most overrated team, most underrated team, and there's a group of SEC experts employed by CBS that kind of came up with this list. So it's pretty much across the board. But I just wanted to read a couple of them and kind of get your thoughts on them, Jeremy. As far as most overrated team, Dennis Dodd and Barrett Sallee both have Texas A&M as the most overrated team in the conference. The piece reads, the Aggies begin the year as number 6 in the preseason AP top 25 and the consensus favorite to be Alabama's top contender in the West after their big recruiting class. That said, 8-4 record in 5th place in the SEC West last year doesn't exactly scream playoff contender. Granted, they lost the opening day starter at quarterback in Haynes King, but A&M is the only team to finish with fewer than 10 wins in the preseason top 12. The Aggies should be in prove-it mode, especially after losing their 4 all-SEC players to the NFL. Ags overrated?
Overrated. Overrated. Yes, of course they're overrated. I've been pounding the drum for this since we started this whole entire offseason. Yes, you got a great recruiting class. Yes, you won, a lot of games in the SEC 2 years ago, but you got to update your resume every single year. And just because you had a great recruiting class doesn't mean anyone's going to be pulling any punches on Saturdays, especially with that high preseason ranking that they're getting. They're going to get everyone's best shot every single week. And for a lot of programs, that's a lot to handle. You got to run your operation from the top down and really win consistently week in and week out. And I just don't think Texas A&M is to that level yet, especially looking at their quarterback position and looking at their receivers on the outside. They do got to, replace a lot of people in that defensive front. I do like their secondary, but I think this team has too many holes to be a top 6 team in the country. If you're a top 6 team in the country, there's not many, chinks in that armor. I just think Texas A&M has too many right now for my liking.
And that's a pretty compelling case when you say, okay, you had 4 all-league players, they're all gone, and you went 8-4 last year. Like, prove to me why you're a top 6 team in the country again. Like, I get that. Jerry Palm has LSU as his most overrated team, and the argument's not quite as good because I don't know of anybody that's picking LSU to do all that much. But
Yeah.
So things have gone south quickly for LSU since the national title. Ed Ogeron era ended with back-to-back seasons of 500 or worse, first time since Jared and Ardo's last 2 years, 98 and 99. Brian Kelly is here. And there's excitement around the program, but it'll probably require some patience before we see LSU competing for division titles again. I don't agree with I agree with the last part to an extent, but who's picking them to win the division? I don't know anybody that is.
Look, every win total I've seen is right around that 8 number, around 7. You're not ranked on anyone's preseason top 25. You're not on any coaches poll. You're not on anything. So overrated. Can Vanderbilt be overrated? Like that, I think you're getting into that territory now when you're looking at where everyone's projecting LSU to finish, especially in the SEC West right now. So I got to disagree. As much as I want to put my purple and gold sunshades on, I still think for right now this team is not overrated.
The most underrated team in the league, David Cobb from CBS, had Florida. And he says motivation seemed to be lacking in 2021 in Dan Mullen's tenure as it limped to completion. The team completely imploded down the stretch. That's not going to be an issue with new coach Billy Napier and defensive coordinator Patrick Toney, both who have proven track records of success. How much do you think Florida quit on Dan Mullen and Todd Grantham last year?
I hate to use that word because it's so hard to prove.
Yeah.
It's so hard to really say because you can easily make a case that, hey, they're a field goal away from beating Alabama. Their season could have been totally different. So it's hard to just make that blanket statement that they quit. But I will tell you this. Things did get stale. Especially on the defensive side, that when you think of Florida defenses, it's not what Grantham had out there and those guys playing. Anytime that LSU, offense is having record days on you, that's not something that you want to be seeing. So I'm not gonna say they quit, but I definitely think things got stale at the end of that era.
Barrett Sallee has the most underrated team in the SEC as Ole Miss. Barrett's real bullish on Ole Miss this year. The excerpt says, too much has been made of the absence of Matt Corral. Not enough has been made of the upgraded running back, the versatile receivers and tight ends, and the quarterback position that should be stable. Kiffin at the helm, that stability at quarterback transforming into excellence is more likely than not. I don't care what the defense looks like on a consistent basis because Ole Miss is going to click in a big way against pretty much every team it faces. Do you think that they just don't miss a beat with Matt Corral out and they just plug in Jackson Dart very likely and they just keep humming?
I won't say to the level that they played at last season because I think anytime Ole Miss wins 10 games, it's extremely impressive. I don't think they're going to be playing to that level, but is Lane Kiffin's offense going to fall off the cliff and they're going to be at the bottom of SEC? No, I don't think so. I do think they take a drop from last season, but I do trust Lane as a coordinator and as a play caller that they're not just going to fall off the face of the earth.
All right, here's some bold predictions in this SEC prediction column. Dennis Dodd says Mark Stoops will win 10 games again at Kentucky. He'll figure out he's hit his head on the ceiling in Lexington, and he will take the open job at Auburn.
Wait, they said Leach is going to do that?
No, Mark Stoops.
Mark Stoops?
Win 10 at Kentucky, take the Auburn job after Harsin gets canned.
I don't know how much different that job would be. I think in a lot of ways, if I'm Stoops, I'm standing pat at Kentucky because the second you take that Auburn job, you're going to have to turn that program around in short order, and you've already built something good at Kentucky, and then now you're going to be tasked with beating Alabama, and no one's going to be pulling any punches, giving you any excuses for why you're not doing so. So it sounds great on paper, but if I'm Stoops, I'm not leaving that sweet gig he has up in Lexington right now.
Pardon my take, the Barstool podcast, they have a segment called Hot Seat, Cool Throne. Very obviously, hot seat means you're in trouble. Cool throne means you're in a great spot. Mm-hmm. If you leave Kentucky after winning 10 games 2 years in a row to go to Auburn, where Kirby Smart's doing that in Athens and Nick Saban's doing that in Tuscaloosa, That is quite literally the definition of cool thrown to hot seat.
Yes. No. I think you couldn't make a better scenario because just looking at where Auburn is now, looking at that roster, they got a world of ground to cover to get anywhere near, and to me, I think, as time goes by, I think Gus Malzahn doesn't get enough credit for what he was doing at Auburn year in and year out. And I know, they want to beat Alabama every single year, but to see him do the job that he did over that amount of time, it's going to be hard for me to see someone doing that in short order, especially you look at what Alabama's doing in the transfer portal and recruiting every single year. So if I'm Stoops, no way I'm touching that Auburn.
You're looking at a statue in Lexington if you win 10 games again, and if you go to Auburn, you're going to get a buyout. That's what you're going to end up getting. That's the way. That's the way that goes. Tom Fornelli says every SEC team in the West will go bowling, but only Alabama and A&M will win more than 8 games during the regular season. So that means that all the other teams in the West, your Arkansas, your Mississippi's, your LSU, and your Auburn are all going to win 6, 7, or 8 games.
Yeah, I could see that. I think to me the SEC West, it's no walkovers. I think anytime you look at the East and you got Vanderbilt, you got Missouri, you got some of those teams, South Carolina, some of those teams in the East, you're fighting the B-Bowl. I think looking at the West, though, you really can't pick a gimme game. Like any of these teams at home on any given Saturday, I think they can play all the teams in the SEC West pretty tight if darn near beating them. So of all the takes, I could see, every team from the West making a bowl game.
And the last one we'll look at here, Barrett Sallee's bold prediction. Ole Miss will run the table during the first 2 months of the season. They'll hit their bye week on November 5th with a battle against undefeated Alabama looming on the 12th. If they can spring the upset against Alabama, Coach Lane Kiffin's squad could make a legit push for the college football playoff.
I mean, looking at the start of their schedule, you got Troy, Central Arkansas, Georgia Tech, and Tulsa. So
4-0, guaranteed. Because you saw Georgia Tech and you go, Georgia Tech might be the worst team in the P5 this year.
Yeah, they just lost their best player too, so they got no shot. It's going to be bad. So yeah, I could see them easily starting out 4-0. That Kentucky game is going to be huge for them, and then of course they get the immortal Vanderbilt Commodores the next week. So
of course they do. Every year they get them. Yeah. I go to Gainesville, they go to Nashville. That's not fair on any level. Because Gainesville stinks and Florida's good and Nashville's awesome and Vanderbilt stinks.
Yep. So, yeah, I could see them. That Kentucky game is going to be huge for Ole Miss if they can somehow win that one. And it's going to create a great world for Lane Kiffin to start the season. So, yeah, I agree with that one as well.
And finally, to wrap up this little CBS Sports preview piece that we were rolling through, I'll give you where LSU is ranked in the West by all of them. Dennis Dodd has LSU third in the West behind A&M and Bama. Not in that order, Bama to win. Everybody has Bama to win the West. Then you've got Tom Fornelli, who has LSU finishing 6th in the SEC West in front of only Auburn. You've got Chip Patterson, who has LSU finishing 2nd in the West. You've got Barrett Sallee, who's got LSU finishing 6th in the West ahead of only Mississippi State. And then both Shehan Giarja. He and David Cobb have LSU finishing last in the Southeastern Conference Western Division.
Sounds like my boy Josh Pate's take from last season, that the ceiling is very, very high, but the floor is extremely, extremely low for this LSU team. And I think it's always going to be that way when you have so many question marks. And the talent could be there in certain positions, but there's a lot of guys who just haven't proven themselves at a high enough level, and that creates a lot of uncertainty. So I could see some people on the side of the fence saying, they're going to, be second. And I could also see a lot of people, not believing in this team, especially when you finish 500 in back-to-back seasons. So everyone knows where I stand. I'm pumping my purple and gold right now. I think they're going to be on the over side, but I don't have any quarrels with anyone thinking the latter.
It's just we're so brain warped now about Alabama, and everybody picks them to win. Everybody says they're going to win the national championship. It's like there was a time where we all went in there in August, and there were 20 teams were like, all right, this could be the year to do it. Now it feels like there's 3. It's just and maybe I don't know. Just T-Bob went on his rant on his new show yesterday saying it's just so boring watching Alabama play because they're going to win, and it just gets old. And I'm certainly sick and tired of it. So
look, I consider it like that everyone's favorite steakhouse, and if you're a recruit, it's like I can go to Outback, I can go to this one, but why not just go get the 5-star dining? So it's kind of like a plug and play thing. If you're a recruit, okay, go to Alabama, get a chance to play for a national championship. If I play anywhere with a pulse, I'm gonna get drafted. So it's just you're gonna see that until that changes. What's going to change a recruit's mind to not just go plug and play with Saban and give myself a chance to win a title and get drafted? So And until that changes, it's going to be the same thing every year.
I know who doesn't have to worry about Alabama this year. That is the New Orleans Saints. We'll talk with Luke Johnson next on the Black and Gold. It's Hunt and Hill.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
Bayou Ford. Check out the inventory, BayouFord.com. They got your new cars. They've got your used cars. They got it all at BayouFord.com. Any new car that you purchase from Bayou Ford, a 1,000,000-mile powertrain warranty over there at Bayou Ford. For the life of that vehicle, you are going to be under that warranty. If you're more looking for the used car, they've got plenty of them on the lot there at Bayou Ford. So just check out the website. They update it every single day. They've got the inventory there every single day. And if you've got questions, you can give them a call or reach out to them through the website there at BayouFord.com.
Yeah, head over to BayouFord.com. They have the all-new 2022 Ford Expedition Timberline, and it has a Ready Lift 3 kit on there. Also, all-new 2021 Ford F-150s. They're getting $14,000 off MSRP, including the Black Widow edition.
F-150s, F-250s, Explorers, Expeditions, the Bronco. It is all there at Bayou Ford. Check out the inventory, BayouFord.com. Bayou Ford, they're going to do right by you.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Vizzy, the first hard seltzer with antioxidant vitamin C. It just hits different. Vizzy, step up your seltzer game.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Every week in high school football, and we have you covered. Starting at 7:30 when Catholic High takes on Dunham. Then from 10 to midnight, we'll recap the evening with the Lake Urgent Care Lake After Hours Louisiana Prep Scoreboard on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
My wife's currently texting me all the great deals she just got shopping, and all I can see is this is how much money you spent. Not how much you saved. This is how much you spent. Anybody else feel the same way?
Yeah, I think every man can
Oh,
relate to
my
that one.
goodness. Luke Johnson joins us to talk black and gold. Surely your wife doesn't spend too much money, does she, Luke?
I mean, she makes way more money than I do, so I don't really care how much she spends.
Well said. All right. How's your adjustment been back from the Great North?
Well, I feel like I almost fainted my first day out there. It just took 6 days of being in perfect weather for me to be just completely useless in Louisiana heat. But look, I've rallied. I feel good. I'm in the AC right now, so I feel real good. And we're just gonna kind of deal with it as it comes.
I like to hear it. Let's talk some Saints. Jameis Winston said he would like to play on Friday. Is that like I would like the Powerball numbers? I mean, is he going to actually play tomorrow?
Look, I wouldn't be surprised if he did. You just kind of read between the lines on what Dennis Allen has said, and he's gone explicit, telling Bobby Hebert fifth time Bobby asked him if he was going to play. I'm not telling you if he's going to play, but I do think that there's some you can kind of read what he's saying as he wouldn't mind seeing him out there in the preseason. I mean, the guy hasn't played a real outside of practice like a real snap of football since he tore his ACL last November. So I don't think it'd be a bad idea to put him back out there and get him some work with guys like Chris Olave and Jarvis Landry in a game setting. I don't think that's necessarily means he's going to play a bunch, but I don't think a couple snaps would hurt. He's got to get out on the field sometime. So, I wouldn't be surprised. I know Jameis obviously wants to be back out there, but I think from the Saints' perspective, not just Jameis, but a number of their offensive guys who just haven't played together in a kind of game-like setting yet. It wouldn't be a surprise to me at all to see him play, especially because this week Ian Book basically got no practice reps. I mean, the last 2 days of training camp, he threw exactly one pass, and that was after Andy Dalton had his foot stepped on by one of his teammates. So I would kind of expect to see some guys maybe we haven't seen yet so far.
I think all Saints fans know about last year and just how much that injury bug bit this football team. If you had to put a grade on how healthy this team is going into the last preseason game and going into week one, what would you put that for this season at this point?
I put it at a B. I mean, they've got a lot of guys who are dealing with stuff, but as far as I can gather, nobody really important is dealing with anything serious. They might have a guy or two miss the first week, which is still a couple of weeks away. But I think they've had a pretty strong camp in terms of nobody missing significant time with a significant injury, which is really, really good. I think they're probably about as well, or they're doing as well as you can reasonably expect an NFL football team after 4 weeks of training camp to be. They've got just a number of guys with just kind of soft tissue type of stuff, but I would expect most of that lineup to be out there in week one.
Anything new on Pete Werner?
Nothing really new. The last thing that we heard is he's dealing with the same groin injury that was keeping him out at the beginning of training camp, and he's been doing side work. But that's obviously something that's worth watching as the season unfolds, because this is obviously the second time he's had to deal with this injury just in the last month. He's been kind of progressively working his way back. He watched practice from the sidelines yesterday, which I think was a good sign. I don't think we'll see him out there tomorrow night, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's in the lineup for week one, and it's not week one, very, very early on in the season.
By Luke Johnson on Twitter. Luke covers the black and gold. As far as the tight end spot goes, Troutman, I think, had a really nice start to camp. Taysom missed some time and has been back out there now. Where do you think the reps fall there?
I would expect Troutman to get the lion's share of them, just because I think he is probably the best blocking tight end they have on the roster. He probably doesn't get enough credit for how good he is in that department. I think he's going to be the guy who's really taking, probably 70% of their tight end snaps is kind of like the true Y tight end, a guy who's going to be in there in both passing and blocking situations. And Taysom, I think, would be, if I were to guess, somewhere closer to like 40% of the offensive snaps, where he's in there at tight end, but he's also moving around on the field a little bit. He's playing a little move tight end, playing a little slot receiver, taking a couple snaps per game, as a quarterback in short yardage situations. I think that's kind of how I'd see that playing out. And the same thing goes for Juwan Johnson, who I think is going to make the team. I think he's had a really nice camp. Kind of getting somewhere in the average the 20 to 25% of the snaps range. And I think all three of those guys will play a role in the team. I'm not sure about what's going on with Nick Vannett. He's kind of really not shown up. Not shown up is not the right way to put it, but he hasn't been really visible during camp. That's not necessarily a bad thing. He could be playing a role very similar to what Josh Hill played for a number of years here. But it wouldn't surprise me either to see him be one of the casualties when they make the cut to 53 next week. I think the other three guys are ahead of him.
Do you think Ian Book makes the 53? They got to have a third quarterback, but does Taysom Hill qualify?
Yes, I don't think they do have to have a third quarterback because Taysom is playing tight end right now, and he would be a pretty easy substitute for like an emergency quarterback if that rare situation happened. I don't think Ian Book is going to make the 53. I think they've got a lot more depth on the roster this year than they did last year. They're going to want to keep, maybe one more guy at another position. And, with having your number two quarterback be like a legit number two quarterback who you don't have to worry about, getting hurt while he's playing another position like they were with Taysom last year. I don't see the point of keeping Book on the roster, especially after you haven't really seen him take a step forward this year. It wouldn't surprise me to see him bring him back on the practice squad. But as far as making the actual roster, I think that's a very, very uphill climb for him.
Speaking of guys possibly not making the roster, I think the Saints are possibly going to have to make a decision at receiver, especially when you add Chris Olave and Jarvis Landry. Which one of the receivers you think are probably going to get the short end of the sticks when the roster cuts come down?
Well, I'll put it this way. I think they're going to keep 6, and I think the 6 are pretty well defined. So obviously Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, and Chris Olave are not going anywhere. And I think the same thing applies to Traquan Smith, Marquez Callaway, and Deontay Hardy. People, I think, sometimes get down on Traquan Smith without realizing that he does add value to the roster beyond being a pass catcher. I think he can play special teams, and he's also, we've seen it in the past, but they like bringing the guys in specifically to block on the outside. They did it with Lil Jordan Humphrey for a long time. I think he's probably their best blocking receiver. I think it'd be pretty hard to move on from Marquez Callaway after he was their best receiver last year. It's not really saying a ton, but he still came in and had 750 receiving yards, led the team in catches, receiving yards, and touchdowns last year. I think he can give you some value as the number 4 or 5 target. And then Deontay Hardy obviously is one of the NFL's best kick returners. I don't think he's going anywhere either. So really what that means is guys like Dejon Dixon, who've been very impressive in training camp, where they're going to probably have to try to sneak him through waivers and get him on the practice squad. And they got to figure out what to do with Kirk Merritt, who is another local guy who I think has had a really, really strong camp, made a lot of plays in practice. We just haven't seen it in the game yet. But the Saints are clearly trying to find other stuff he can do. Last week they put him at kick returner. It's the first time all camp we'd even seen him at kick returner. He's out there as the starter in that role. And the first kick he gets, he takes 59 yards back and flips the field. And then this past week we saw him get some reps at running back, which is something he hasn't done since he was at Destrehan High School. And he looked really good. And I think we're going to get a chance to see him in that role tomorrow night. And if he shows he can handle not only as a runner, but somebody who can pick up some blitzes and pass protection, and maybe run some routes out of the backfield and be kind of like a versatile chess piece like Ty Montgomery was for him the last couple of years. I think he has a chance of making the 53 is kind of like another utility player on the offense.
Saints media flag football game. How was your performance?
Man, up and down. Look,
Did your Achilles blow out?
No, thankfully, I got out of there just really sore for 2 days because I'm apparently just an old man now. But I went in with high expectations, and then one of my teammates was like, "Oh yeah, you look like you'd be a good blocker." I was like, "Hey man, I'm a friggin' athlete, okay?" So I made a couple catches. I had a nice touchdown catch. I spiked the ball. I was very happy about that.
Okay.
And then we're not going to talk about my 2 or 3 drops.
Hate to hear about that. Well, we'll look at the film. We'll get back to work, and we'll make the necessary corrections. Luke, we appreciate some time. Enjoy some football tomorrow.
Yeah, can't wait again. We'll talk to you all next week.
Sounds good. Luke Johnson covers the Saints for the Advocate. Saints do a good job putting all that stuff together with the flag football game. I think Sean Fazan is the A player down there, but you got to find some guys that have got to fill their roles. And if Luke's dropping the football, might have to move on, look elsewhere. But we'll check the film. We'll get back to it. All right, we're gonna play Take It or Leave when we come back. I've got to do some significant complaining with one of my teams. That's next on Hunt and Hill.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, bringing you champions of Louisiana each and every month here on Hunt and Hill. And we're thrilled all month long to have been telling you about Galen Iverstein.
Yeah, Galen founded and owns and operates a full-service butcher shop and smokehouse in Baton Rouge. And as the owner of Iverstein Farms Butcher, Galen brings sustainable, locally raised meats directly to Louisiana consumers, enabling customers to connect with local farms and expanding opportunities for farmers who cultivate and support Louisiana's land has been a decade-long goal. And with a background in sustainable farming, Galen identifies and supports farms and practices these methods by giving them a platform that expands their reach.
Look, we know about Louisiana seafood, but obviously farming is a huge part of our economy as well. And Galen does it here locally, and he does it sustainably. That's really, really important to our environment here in our awesome, awesome state. So Galen Iverstein, our champion of Louisiana, all month long here on Hunt and Hill. If you know someone, some entity, some nonprofit that's doing great work like Galen is in our great state, go to lwcc.com/Louisiana Loyal and nominate them as a champion of Louisiana so we can tell their story right here. Galen Iverstein, our champion of Louisiana for August. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal.
This week on dropbiscuit.com or wherever you listen to podcasts is our new series Pops, the Louis Armstrong story. Pops is brought to you by New Orleans and Company. Check out neworleans.com and come visit New Orleans.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance. This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment.
This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Jimmy Ott and Charles Henniger for the Thursday evening edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're downtown at Jolly Pearl Oyster Bar on North facing Town Square. Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m. presented by Bet Rivers on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, Citizens Bank bringing the poll question each and every day here on Hunt and Hill. Today's poll question, will you watch Florida State and Duquesne? 49% of you say that you will watch Florida State and Duquesne. 52% say, nope, I'm out on the Dukes and the Noles. All the better. We'll tell you about it on Monday. That's your Citizens Bank poll question of the day. Let's finish things out as we do each and every day with Take It or Leave It. Fire away, Jeremy.
All right, you got some Cubs trouble. I got some Lakers trouble. So this should be fairly fun today.
I'm gonna lose it.
All right, we'll save the Cubs for a little later. All right, Chet Holmgren, he is out for the entire 2023 NBA season with the Liz Frank injury. Chet sustained the injury playing in an exhibition game. Are you taking or leaving? The NBA should do something about players getting injured over the summer.
NBA doesn't have to. They're going to put it in contracts. Chet, you're not playing in some giggle-thon pickup game and breaking your foot, so you're out for the year. That is not going to happen anymore. They got a million of these basketball tournaments, this crossover in the whatever league LeBron was playing I never heard of that you told me about the other day. Those are going to be toast now that the number 2 pick in the draft has broken his foot and is not playing for the year. That day is over. Todd Bowles is playing all his healthy starters in the last preseason game, including Tom Brady, who's going to take some snaps in the preseason finale. Good idea to play starters in the last preseason game. Take it or leave it.
Naturally, when I first heard this, I wanted to take that, but I'm going to leave it. I don't think, especially in this last one, how much are you actually going to get accomplished, especially if they're going to play 1 series or 2 series. I think the risk of injury is way too high, but I guess for the Bucks, Tom has missed a bunch of camp.
Yeah,
so they
Bahamas, on the water slide, sipping Mai Tai. Well, he probably doesn't have a Mai Tai. It's got sugar in it.
Yeah, but look, he's playing golf and on the beach, so probably want to get him out there. So for that reason, I guess I'll take it. But in most situations, I don't want any starters in that last preseason game. All right, here. The Cubs, they had a ceremony today for Yadier Molina and Albert Pujols prior to their game at Wrigley. You taking or leaving that?
I'm leaving this. Yadier Molina, we are having a ceremony for Yadier Molina. Everyone in the stadium hates that guy. He's a jerk. We've gotten into multiple fistfights with him. He has nothing nice to say about the Cubs ever. We are not having a ceremony for that guy, especially with a guy who brought an entire generation of Cubs fans to Wrigley Field, myself included. Sammy Sosa has not been welcomed back in 20 years. Absolutely not. We are not having a freaking ceremony. I almost cussed. We are not having a ceremony for Yadier Molina in our stadium when Sammy Sosa is not welcome on the premises. The Ricketts family should be embarrassed that we did that. And Albert Pujols, I mean, I guess I get it. I'm glad to kick him out the door. This guy played against the Cubs 174 games. That's just more than one full season, a little bit more. He hit .303 with 55 homers and 140 RBIs. It was an awful decade to watch that guy hit. I guess you got to give him something on the way out, whatever, that's fine. Not Yadier Molina under any circumstance. The most hated athlete in that uniform. I don't think so.
Oh, man, that's hilarious.
We're going to talk about the Lakers now?
Yeah, I guess we have to.
All right. So after a long off season trying to pull off blockbuster trades, the Lakers shocked the NBA by pulling off one of the more surprising trades this summer. They went and got Pat Bev. He's been on 4 teams in the last 2 seasons. Lakers hitting a home run with Pat Bev. Take it or leave it.
Oh, my God. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse with Thanksgiving ham and, day-to-day Davis and Russell Westbrook, now we go get Patrick Beverly. Oh, my God. What are we doing? Like, is this a joke? Like, are we trying to make the team as worse as humanly possible? Not only we got a guy who's going to foul out in 2 minutes, he can't make a three-pointer. Like, what are we doing? Like, and now we got 2 guys who absolutely hate each other. This just is going to go terribly wrong. I'm sorry. I may not wear Lakers gear for a very long time. Things are not looking good for my squad. What are we doing, man? Come on.
Magic always has a hot tweet. He gives out the real deets when he tweets. This is quote, Magic Johnson, I used to hate Patrick Beverly when he played against my Lakers, LOL, but now I love him because he plays on our team. He's going to help my Lakers get to the playoffs.
Oh
Magic says they're headed to the promised land.
We're headed maybe to the play-in. Like, we get the 10 seed, I'm jumping for joy. I'm going to be, screaming from the top of the bleachers. We reached the play-in, but not good news. Look, Cubs, Lakers, we're just going through it right now. We gotta get a turnaround. Something I said, we need something good right now. Like, this is not good on all fronts. Like, what are we doing? Like, this is bad.
Pitt named Keaton Slovis their starting quarterback for the upcoming season. Panthers have a big home game against Tennessee in week number 2. Keaton Slovis and the crew in Pittsburgh taking down the Vols. Take it or leave it.
I'm taking this on just to slow down the Tennessee train a little bit here. We got to pump those trains a little good. But look, I need them to pick a little bit more momentum up because they got a nice matchup with Alabama coming up. I need them to have a pulse for that. But I also need them to take a couple chinks in the arm. We don't need them flying too high.
You're not big on other teams getting momentum, are you?
No, I need them to have certain momentums in some weeks and then turn down in some weeks. So look, if y'all can pull off the upset of Alabama, oh man, I would love that very much so. But look, I don't need Tennessee flying too high because they got to come to Baton Rouge. So we're gonna have to temper that down just a little bit.
Hendon Hooker and the crew. All right, that'll do it for us here on a Thursday. Are we counting tomorrow as a football Friday? If you said this was game week, I guess tomorrow's going to be football Friday.
Man. We got to give out the predictions to some of these amazing matchups we're going to be seeing over the weekend.
Apparently, there's if you're a new driver, you have to put a big red N on your car in Ireland, and it looks exactly like the Nebraska logo. So all the Nebraska fans are going to think that it's all Nebraska cars in Ireland, when actually you have to put that as a novice driver on your car. So we'll talk about that maybe tomorrow before we get to the Big Ten game between Northwestern and Nebraska. But it is a Football Friday tomorrow. If you missed any of our show today, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com, or on YouTube every single day, or on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We're there. You can search Hunt and Hill. Luke Johnson was with us at 1:30 talking Saints. Jeremy's lead toss talking about the Florida State Seminoles. We opened the show talking about if Brian Kelly's a cultural fit, and I threw a fit, basically, talking about fits. If you want that, that's at the top of the show. Played some over-under with the LSU football team, and Scott Rabalais was with us at 12:30, so catch all of that on demand. It is all right there at your fingertips. Tomorrow, we'll get you ready for Duquesne and Florida State. Tomorrow, we will get you ready for Saints and Chargers in the Superdome. It is a Football Friday, so we're very, very much looking forward to all of that. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. Stay safe out there. Matt Biscone is going to drive you home from 3 to 6 on After Further Review. Jimmy Ott's Game Time coming to you at 6 to 8 this evening. And Mario and Musso with your Early Line. They've got like real football games to start talking about here on Early Line. So that's good stuff for those boys. Everybody, again, have a wonderful and safe Thursday. We are back from noon to 2 tomorrow. Very much looking forward to it. Have a great Thursday. We're going. It's Hunt and Hill.